And now our discussion focuses on a sharp 54% drop in foreign investment into manufacturing in Nigeria, raising questions about investor confidence and structural challenges in the industrial sector. We examined the causes of the decline and what it means for manufacturing growth, job creation, and economic diversification, moving forward. Joining me now for this conversation, we have Oluwatobi Ajayi. He's the CEO of NORD Automobiles Limited. Joining me right here in the studio. It's great to have you, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. I call you Otumba today.
Yes.
Yeah. So, we know we love to check out what the data is saying, and the latest one, we're seeing the inflows, foreign inflows into the manufacturing sector. If you can put that up for me. Foreign inflows, that's slowed to about 54.11%. That's foreign investment coming into manufacturing and production. It's a big drop. That's for 9 months into 2025. How would you say this has impacted your industry? Did you feel, this drop?
Yeah, so I read it. I read the report. I think, I don't know, recently I read it, that foreign direct investment, first of all, increased in Nigeria, almost doubled.
Yes, that increased. Yeah.
The total foreign direct investment into Nigeria almost doubled. However, for the manufacturing sector, it dropped by, I think, 54.11%.
Right.
That's what I read. So I'm not surprised to see it, and it shows one thing. It means that foreign investors are coming into Nigeria. They believe in the country. They are bringing in money. However, they are not choosing manufacturing. They're not choosing factories. They are probably going for shorter-term portfolios. Maybe stocks, bond, retail, trade. And not going into the real hard part of making things work in a country, which I have said, it's the factories, the manufacturing sector, which
that's the part that creates
jobs. Which is the part that creates jobs, which we as Nigerians, as citizens of Nigerians and residents of Nigeria, we have to look at it in a very critical way and ask ourselves certain questions. Why do we have a system or an economy where people can come in, make money quickly and move out, but they do not want to stay in for the long term? They don't want to stay in the factories to create jobs, to make things easier and better. Because the truth of the matter is that when you have more factories, over time, not immediately, over time, the cost of the goods will drop. People will earn better. People will be able to, pay for things better, And at the end of the day, the economy is going to grow a lot faster. So we need to ask ourselves some important questions. Maybe when you continue, I can say a couple of things more.
Right.
We need to ask ourselves certain questions on why we're not doing that. We need to create a system where people, or policies, where people can have more incentives in making things in Nigeria. And one very key factor of that is not even, people talk about power and this. No.
Well, power is not an issue anymore.
It is an issue, actually.
Right.
However, it is moved into what I'll call, how many big businesses do you hear and say, oh, I'm not moving because it's bad? No, you can go into gas. You can do a lot of things. People have, Nigerians are tough. Nigerian businessmen are tough businessmen. So we found a way to solve this problem. Most of the issues most factories have is that the Nigerian market is not for them. I always tell the people this. Allow Africa, not only, it's not a Nigerian problem, it's an African problem, I think. Africans don't own the African market. Yes, we are in Africa. The market is but the market is for those outside. So you can see even Nigerian entrepreneurs who have factories, after a while, even start to produce outside Nigeria, then import it in for many reasons, which I don't think we have time to go into here.
Right, but I guess it's the same old issues at this point. And looking at it from a local investor view at this point, seeing that the foreign inflows have dropped this much, I'm trying to imagine how that's impacted the auto sector. We know cars are really expensive in Nigeria right now, especially most of those imported brand. So is that trickling into the auto center?
Yeah, so for the auto sector, last year, for example, was very good for the local auto industry. I would say we grew a bit. You know, most people in the auto sector had a increase in revenue and also increase in market share. So, you know, there are many reasons why there may be a drop in investment into the manufacturing sector. You have to understand that the manufacturing sector is a long-term investment space. So it's very possible. For example, in NORD, where we make vehicles, in 2014, we invested billions of naira, like multi-millions of USD, into buying machines and machineries. Of course, we're not going to do the same thing next year. So we used to say we're no more investing. We're investing, but we invested. And when you buy machines, the machines can last 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. So for us, for me, for NORD, for example, the reason why we didn't invest as much last year is because we did in 2024, sorry. So we might do again now. So, you know, so that's one of the reasons. So it could be that that's the reason, that a lot of the investments have been done and people are just waiting to start to utilize these machines. It could also be, like people are talking about it, that we need to create a better environment for manufacturing firms to thrive, which I think is also one of the problems. So, but for the auto sector, it was a very good year for us. A lot of the blue chips moved from the popular Japanese brands and started buying made in Nigerian brands, not only for NORD, even other players in the market. So it was a very good year for us, and we think it should go better. However, we didn't grow as fast as we should. Do you understand? Which is some of the problems we're facing. Normally, maybe we grew probably like NORD, we probably grew, well, very good, let's say ×2, but when you look at the entire market, the Nigerian auto industry is a 4 trillion naira market. Do you understand? So you should see us growing maybe 200% every year. Do you understand? So
with you know, Nigerians having to pay more to, you know, import vehicles, are they turning now to the local producers?
Yes, they are. They are. Especially the companies on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. I don't want to mention their name, but the biggest companies on the Nigerian Stock Exchange are now almost entirely going to made in Nigeria vehicles. Yes, because it makes better sense. The vehicles, at least for NORD, for example, the vehicles are affordable, they are reliable. It's as good as buying the vehicles in Japan. But this time around, you're buying it for half the price. So it makes sense. It can do the job, it's elegant, and it's going for half the price. So it makes perfect sense for them. The total cost of ownership is a lot lower. You have elegant vehicles, it can do the job. And the business people can see it on their books and they make their decision. So for us, it's been a good year. Not only for NORD, like I said earlier, for the entire auto industry. Most of my friends in the auto industry, my competitors even, we had a boom in 2025.
Right.
And it started already this year. Even this quarter, most people in the first 2 months already, for example, we've done what we did in the first 2 months and what we did last year in 6 months. And last year was a very good year. So you can imagine what it is now. And I think, like I said, it's not only for NORD. I think it's the entire
industry. You guys are smiling to the bank.
Yeah, because we can afford better more affordable vehicles. I think that's why.
Okay, so looking at most of 2025, the naira was stable.
Yes, very good.
Gain. And now we're sub.
Yeah, we're in 1.3. Sub 1.4. Yes.
Yes, at this time. How much of that is, you know, helping?
It's amazing. That's one of the reasons why. So right now you can offer credit facilities to entities, both personal and corporate, that you trust. You know that it will be stable. So you can say, okay, you know what, come and take this vehicle, pay over this period of time, 12 months, 6 months, depending on how much you trust them. It's easier. But when this naira was not stable, it's not about whether how high or how low. What is important is stability. Know that when I sell this thing to you for 30 million naira, it's 30 million naira for at least a year. So when you don't pay me and you pay over time, I don't lose money. We don't lose money because of the exchange rate devaluation or fluctuation.
Right.
So that's very important for us. Yes,
right.
It's
stability, and also we saw, you know, with the macros, inflation also trending downward.
Yes.
Most of the
yeah, but that's a bit still. I think for consumer credit, for example, I think that's still very high. I understand what the CBN and the Ministry of Finance, or those responsible for managing the macroeconomic, side of the government are doing, but it's still very high. Most people, especially that are doing commercial business, are not going to borrow money at about 30%. It's not.
And we got the first rate cut of 2026.
Yeah,
This week.
it's a way.
26.5%.
Yes, we're not yet there yet, but it's a good way to start. It's a good way to start.
It's a good way to start.
Yes,
but
yes.
Okay, looking at credit affordability, seeing the body language, of the central bank at this point, are you optimistic that in 2026 credit will get cheaper?
Yeah, I think so. And you have to understand, and you have to, credit the central government for what they've done. We were in a very bad place in 2023. Everybody who understands, who saw what was happening and saw the numbers, were worried for Nigeria because it could have gone really bad. They managed it well, not only in terms of what they did in the numbers, also the posture. The CBN governor, Mr. Kaduso, had this no-nonsense attitude and the rest, which just shows that it's not about what you do too, it's how you look when you're doing it. When I look at him, he looks like a man who knows what he's doing. So he brought confidence to the sector. People were willing to invest in Nigeria more. Those that were already in Nigeria did not want to take their money out because they knew that it was going to be good. And it's been good. For example, in the stock market has been going up. In the auto industry, for example, the investments have been paying up. People are buying. So it's been okay, and we have to understand why the only other downside was that interest rates being high. But you cannot eat your cake and have it. We're coming from a very bad place, I would say, where they said there was too much naira in the system. And of course we don't make a lot. That's what I'm talking about. We have to start manufacturing things in Nigeria. We have to start buying made in Nigeria things. If we're buying made in Nigeria items, like made in Nigeria vehicles, made in Nigeria things, the fact that we have too much money in the economy we know it will be easy because you won't have to chase dollars. The reason why it was a problem for CBN was that amount of money had to chase FX, which they had to use to import things into Nigeria. If it was remaining in Nigeria in the manufacturing space, it would have been easily managed. So they had to take the interest rate up to mop up as much money as they can and bring this, all this FX push under control. And I think they've done it. So I see a situation where they will start to ease up easily, so that we don't undo all the gains. We made a lot of gain. If they don't manage it properly, we can just go back to what it was. So, so we have to take it one step at a time. And hopefully we'll get to a point where the rate becomes what it was maybe in 2018, 2019, where it was.
So let's do it small.
Yeah, slowly. Slow and steady wins the race.
Slow and steady. All right, definitely we know investors are always trying to make an investment decision. Some of them are sitting on cash, at this point. Looking at your industry now, what investment opportunities are you seeing there that you feel investors should actually key into?
You want me to tell them?
Yes, tell them.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a lot of space, in your industry.
Well, there are a lot, but I want to take them, so I don't want to say it.
Right.
I want to take some of it, so I don't want to tell them. They should find out themselves.
But just give us some clues.
The component manufacturing. It's a very important space where people need to look into. Automobile, to make vehicles, right, you need different parts of the vehicles. So the plastic parts, for example, most people do not. We make some of them ourselves in Nigeria, but it's not enough. We have to import a lot of it still. So if somebody has what it takes, they can go into that space and make some of it. So, and some other parts of cars, which I'm not going to go into now. But going forward, maybe I'll come back here to announce it. We are actually backwardly integrating into some other aspects of the parts that you use in making cars. And I'm going to announce some of them as we go forward.
Right,
because we have to make as much as we use in Nigeria. You cannot have a population of 200 million people and you are import dependent. It cannot be.
Right, and I'm sure at some point we'll be able to compete in the electric vehicle space.
Yeah, we are. We already assembling electric vehicles in Nigeria under the name TAVE. It's one of our subsidiaries, and it's doing very well. Sterling Bank is a big buyer of our vehicles. A lot of customers from Sterling Bank buy. So yeah,
All right.
It's good.
All right, we'll keep tracking that space because Nigerians want to be able to afford cars.
Yes,
At this point, and not drive cars of 15 years and 20 years.
Well, we're getting the way to actually ensure that we don't drive too many old cars is to buy cars that are made in Nigeria, like is done in South Africa. You buy cars that are made here. In 4 years, 5 years, if you buy in volume, like they do there, in 4 and 5 years, those cars will have to be renewed. So those cars go into a made in Nigeria second-hand market. So over time, maybe 10 years, you won't have to be importing even second-hand vehicles anymore. You are going to have a complete ecosystem of vehicles that are made in Nigeria from the beginning to the end. So you buy the vehicles in Nigeria here, brand new, use it for 5 years, you bring it to NORD, you trade it in, NORD sells it to the used car market. The guy in the used car market buys it, he continues. As his life improves, he can buy a new car, he comes to NORD. All the money remains in Nigeria. Very few of it goes out and puts us under
we need more money staying in the country, especially that FX. Thank you so much, Oluwatobi Ajayi, CEO.
Thank you very much.
NORD Automobiles Limited. Thank you
very much. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll look at Nigeria finally, getting some really nice data there when it comes to food inflation, entering single digits. We'll discuss that next. So stay with us.